Peace, 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 peace. Let's get everybody on in here real fast. How's everybody doing today? And y'all gotta let me know if I'm yelling. I'm trying this headphone thing, so please let me know if I'm yelling right now. Hopefully I'm not and everybody can hear me. All right, so peace. Everybody, I appreciate everybody joining me today. We're gonna talk to my good brother Kofi about his newest book that just came out, From Privilege to Genocide, the Hutu and Tutsi and its colonial roots. We're going all the way back to like the Berlin Conference and bringing it to now, to current times, to kind of tell you why it's all, it's nothing new under the sun, right? We're kind of tell you about how these different strategies and plans have been used since the beginning of time, since the Berlin Conference, all the way up until now. Of course, we always started off the same, kind of showing you what I'm reading now, and then what I'm planning on reading in the future. So, of course, right now, I'm reading what I'm talking to you all about, is the From Privilege to Genocide by my brother Kofi. That's what I'm reading right now. I'm on page 111. It's like it's about 140. No, it's about 155 pages. So I got about 40 pages. I'll be done with this today. I love research books, historical research. The amount of work Kofi put into this book and the other help, the other help that he was able to get that we'll talk about. They did a great job with this book, and we'll talk about it in some more detail so you all can get the gist of what I'm reading now. I don't want to give you all the news now and skip on the interview. So this is what I'm reading right now. Also, what I'm finishing up is All About Love by Bell Hooks. This is showing how, as a society, we define love and how we define the different aspects of love and the demands of love, right? And it talks about how society has changed our definition of love and it's changed the way that we interact with one another, right? It talks about how, and the reason why I went to this book is because of the election, right? Watching the election, just kind of sitting back and noticing different trends in the election. So I kind of went back to this All About Love book. I had been reading through it. I kind of jumped back on it a lot during the election. And it talks about how we as a society have started to excuse a lot of bad behavior because we want to exude that behavior as well, right? We kind of excuse wealthy people for being stingy, for not helping, because we think that's just what is needed to be wealthy. And so this is All About Love by Bell Hooks, an amazing book. I'm also starting off on Punished for Dreaming, How School Reform Harms Black Children and How We Heal. As you all know, I'm the father of two young kings. So, they're both in school. So reading about school reform and the different laws that are in place in schools is very interesting, and seeing it from kind of the parental view has been something that's been really infuriating as a parent, because I'm having to see a system kind of attempt to wrap its coils around my children. So I have to know about the system so I can know different ways that I can help my people and my children and my community as well. So Punished for Dreaming is another book that I'm reading through by Bettina L. Love. So these are just a couple of books that I'm reading. I'm always thumbing through Black Awakening in Capitalist America by Robert L. Allen. Another amazing book, just talking about how as a people we come to consciousness in a level of capitalism and capitalistic America that's really not going anywhere. So we have to be able to adjust. We have to be able to find revolution within that. So another book that I'm reading. But of course, you all join me today to discuss From Privilege to Genocide by my brother Kofi. So let's bring him on and then and discuss this book in a little more detail so you all can find out why this is a book that you all need to pick up. And he actually does have a Black Friday sale going on right now, 25% off sale. So this is something that you all can definitely add to your stocking stuffers or whatever it is that you call the gifts that you buy. This is an amazing book and amazing cover too. Look how colorful that is, right? Look how colorful the cover is. And another thing that I really appreciate that Kofi does is that on his independent publications, he also always makes sure that the title is on the side of the book as well. A lot of independent book publishers do not do that. And it's just one of those little small kind of things that when you do a book stack, you want to have the title right there. So all you publishers out there, please put the title on the what you call this, the spine of the book. But let's go ahead and bring my man Kofi on and talk to him about this amazing book. Little headphone thing. So y'all know I'm country, and eventually I will start yelling out of nowhere. So please, if I start to scream, y'all let me know. I appreciate y'all. My man Kofi on here. I actually picked up a new book yesterday, and King of the World. Some Muhammad Ali book. I don't know much about the author. It was like $2. David Remnick. Uh, Reason to believe that he don't look like me. Oh, okay, hold on 1 second. I'll invite you one more time, Kofi. No problem. All right. I just sent it again. No problem. But, almost the end of the year, so I'm hoping to end the year, hopefully with a fiction book, really. Parable of the Sower is one of the ones I want to read. Parable of the Talents. I haven't read either of the series, so I want to read them in order. Somebody please tell me the correct order to read them in. Octavia Butler. So I'm looking at in the year probably with fiction more than likely. I'm tired of y'all fussing at me and saying I don't read enough fiction. So peace, peace, peace. What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man. I'm glad I clicked on because I'm thinking at 1 o'clock. I'm all messed up, but I'm here.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me grab my glass.
Yeah, no problem. DJ CEO, what's going on, brother? Yeah, already these headphones ain't working, so we're gonna try again next time. Try to get you know, current 21st century for y'all, but it ain't work, so it's all good.
All right.
What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man. Hey, how you doing today, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. It's Saturday, almost already time to go back to work, so we all right.
Yeah.
So, anybody who has not been introduced to you, Kofi, good brother, if you would, kind of introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay. My name is Kofi Piche. I am a independent researcher. Has been an independent researcher for the past 12, 13 years. I'm a part of various research groups, such as the Seshuma Ani Metanetia group, which we are aspiring scribes. We understand the method of transliterating and translating the Session Metanetia, which I'll call the hieroglyphs. I'm also a member of the Masi Warrior Clan, which we are a research group that research extensively in West Africa, whether it's West Africa culture, tradition, or language. Also have my own research team, Kofi Piche research team, where we have published 5 publication. We call them spear publications, where it deals with West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, South America, the Caribbean, as well as American history. I'm also a publisher. I have my own publishing company, same 3 different brands publishing company. I'm a podcast host, Degree Out Podcast, along with my 2 other partners, Dr. Ashley Wade and Shanathan Palador, music producer, ghostwriter, man, amongst other things, man.
I got you, man of many hats.
Yeah.
Now, now I know I heard you say Mossy Warrior Clan, which actually presented this book that we're talking about here, From Privilege to Genocide.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about how long did it take for you to put this book together?
It took me about 3.5 months to put this book together. I had previously did some research on this subject matter about 2.5 years ago. Again, I'm also a lecturer and a public speaker, so I put together a lecture about this to give context, because a lot of people don't understand what truly happened, or it's not no context. They always talk about the war between these 2 African ethnic groups, but no one never gives no context and give a backdrop and explain in detail. So um, I already had previously some information prior to that, before going into this project, because I previously, like I said, researched, but then I had to eventually get some more material in order to finish the project. So it's about 3.5 months.
Okay. So how did the I know you said you had to kind of go back and do some more research, but how did the initial research into like the Berlin Conference and the how did that initially start for you?
Well, I've already been privy to the Berlin Conference. Again, my expertise is in history, right? And most of what I write about, is historical nonfiction. I write a little self-help, but most of my publications has always been in historical nonfiction. So I'm been studying history for the past, like I said, 12 or 13 years. So I was already privy with the Berlin Conference. But I wanted to start the Berlin Conference off because a lot of times we don't understand, a lot of folks don't know how these European powers got into Africa and carved up Africa. So I wanted to start off with the Berlin Conference, because the Berlin Conference was actually important to what later came along in Rwanda. So if you read the book, and if people know a little history about Rwanda, they know that Germany had Rwanda. And then they know after the World War I, they know that the UN, the United Nations, awarded Belgium Rwanda. So I wanted to highlight how Germany and then Belgium ended up in Rwanda. But that's not, but I also wanted to highlight also too how the French ended up in Senegal and Gambia, how British ended up in Kenya, Sierra Leone, so and vice versa. So we know a lot of these countries that we go into at interior Africa, we got some Africans that speak French, and that's because France was there. We got Africans that speak English because the British were there. We got Africans that speak uh, Portuguese because the Portugals and Spaniards was in this region, right? So I wanted to highlight that. That was important for me to highlight the Berlin Conference to get people to understand how these people ended up in Africa, and then how they colonized Africa, and what was the purpose and intent in them going into the interior of Africa. And this conference stopped these European nations or European so-called powers from feuding, because they was fighting against each other.
Yeah, and like that part really, like, so when I read that part about the initial Berlin Conference, right? Of course, I had been somewhat introduced to the Berlin Conference, but the way that you explained how they met up, decided to stop fighting, and basically said, "Hey, let's make them fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can take control of these areas."
Yes,
That
sir.
really made things so much more clear for me, even here, right? Even here in the
Mm-hmm.
country, in the States, because nothing is under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I'm here in Alabama, right up the road in Birmingham. There's like a huge gang war going on, and a lot of times people are like, "How is this happening?" And I'm reading about how people have vested interest in continuing the horizontal violence of Black people, and it's like we can't completely blame ourselves. Of course, we have to have the answers, but we need to understand where these strategies come from and where they're birthed from, and kind of how they have really crafted a lot of our reality here in the States too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. But we always think that what's going on over there, or what happened in history, you know what I'm saying? It's not happening right. You know, it's not happening right now. We don't have to be concerned. I'm not concerned with that. That's not my reality. But yes, it is your reality. A lot of those tactics that they use, the divide and conquer strategies, they're still using those tactics today. Still using those tactics today.
Yep. And we can't know how to fight these tactics and how to identify them if we
Mhm.
don't know the history of them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we should always send Kofi. We should always go back and retrieve the past. You know what I'm saying? We should always want to know exactly what's going on in the world, not just here in the United States, but in the world everywhere, right? So we should study everything, and that's why we continue the cycle that we continue to making these mistakes by being divided, by we letting one, and a lot of it has to do, we let politics divide us. We let religion, which is one of the biggest things, is the biggest divider. We don't want to deal with people because they don't believe in what we believe in. You know what I'm saying? And that is stopping us from progress. All the way. It's all of these are division mechanisms. But like I said, if we go back and we study the past, like on the last interview, I talked about a lot of different templates that we can use. We have to go back and study history. So we go back, whether you like the Nation of Islam or not, we need to go back and study what the Nation of Islam did in the 60s. We need to go back in the 20s and study what Marcus Garvey did when he came over here and he formulated the UNIA. Even though I don't agree with a lot of things from the Moorish Science Temple and dealing with Noble Drew Ali, but we have to go back and study some of those things, right? So there's so many different, um, the American Negro Academy was another one that comes 20 years after emancipation, the things that they was able to do and accomplish, and uh, who I formulate my company after some of these men and some of the things that they do when we talk about the literary world and so forth. So we have tons of templates that we can go back and we can study and we can pull from each one of those and scrap the things that we don't need and modify the things that we grab, or we like to pull ourselves together because people think that we wasn't great. We was always great, whether we was on the continent of Africa or whether we was kidnapped and we came here. We always made a way. We always showed our greatness. So we have those templates. Tulsa, Oklahoma was another one. Those free towns was another one. The maroon towns. So we have templates of people coming together. We coming together, you know what I'm saying, and pushing forward to make a better life for us, our family, and our communities.
Yeah, and I know a quote that you said last time we spoke. You take the meat, leave the bones. So
Mm-hmm.
like you have to be able to go back, read about all these different strategies, all these different groups, and see any missteps or successes that they had,
Mm-hmm.
and we continue to build.
Yes, that's most definitely.
So how did you decide to get into historical nonfiction? So like we know you decide you want to be a writer,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you decide what genre you want to focus on?
Once I got a knowledge of self, that what made me want to do it. 2013, or late 2012, going in 2013. I want to know more about myself. I want to know more about what my ancestors contributed. So me finding YouTube channel that I'm not gonna speak on the name, but I no longer watch, and then me doing a DNA test and finding out my ancestral lineage made me want to dig more into African culture and African tradition. But I first started off in Kemet before I ended up in West Africa. So
Okay.
I began to study Kemet, which y'all may refer to as Egypt, but that place is called Kemet. And the people are not Egyptians. They do not refer to themselves as Egyptians. Never have in the historical record. We get that from the biblical narrative. We know Egypt comes from the French and the British word Egypti, which became Egypt, which means bondage. We know thousands of years ago, 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, those people did not call themselves Egyptians. They were called the Remich or the Kemetu, and they went